We often look at the wealthy, the powerful, and the beautiful, and we envy them. We wish to walk in their shoes. But if the walls of their chambers could speak, if the shadows in their closets could sing, you would cover your ears, run into the forest, and thank the Almighty for your peaceful poverty. This is the story of Nika, a young lady who looked at the reflection of her beauty and decided it was worth more than her humanity. A young lady who looked into the hollow eyes of the Prince of Darkness, took a golden pen, and signed away the very thing that made her human. In the quiet, forgotten village of Achara, life was a daily battle against the soil. The land was stubborn, the rains were unpredictable, and poverty was a permanent tenant in almost every household. But in the midst of this dryness, a flower bloomed. Her name was Nika. Nneka was a maiden of extraordinary beauty. Her skin was like dark, polished ebony, her eyes held the brilliance of the morning star, and when she walked through the village square, even the birds in the trees seemed to hush their songs just to watch her pass. But beauty without bread is a beautiful prison. Nika lived with her widowed mother, Maobiageli, and her 2 younger siblings in a mud hut that wept whenever the clouds gathered. While other maidens accepted their fate with grace, working the farms and hoping for a good, hard-working man to marry them, Nneka's heart burned with a dangerous fire. She hated the smell of the red earth. She hated the blisters on her soft palms from the handle of the hoe. She hated the mockery of the wealthier girls from the neighboring towns who came to the Achara market, adorned in fine coral beads and expensive wrappers. Every evening, Nika would sit by the broken fence of their compound, staring at her reflection in a clay bowl of water, whispering to herself, "I am too beautiful to die in this dust. My face is a passport to royalty, yet I wake up to the sound of an empty stomach. If God will not remember me, then let another power find me." Maobiageli, a woman of deep prayer and discernment, often saw the dark clouds gathering in her daughter's eyes. She would hold Nika's hands and plead with her, "My daughter, patience is a golden virtue. A little hut filled with peace and a clean conscience is greater than a palace built on blood. Do not let your desires outrun your destiny." But Nika would violently pull her hands away. "Conscience does not buy salt, mother. Peace does not stop the rain from leaking through our thatch roof. I am tired of waiting for a tomorrow that looks exactly like yesterday." The turning point came during the festival of the New Yam. The village was alive with music, the sound of the ojin echoed through the hills, and the young men danced with strength. It was on this day that Prince Azubuiki, the arrogant and wealthy son of a neighboring kingdom, rode into Achara with a convoy of horses and men. He was searching for a maiden to add to his harem of pleasures. When his eyes fell on Nika dancing in the square, he stopped his horse. The village held its breath. The prince smiled, waved his hand, and his servants threw a heavy bag of cowries and modern paper money at Nneka's feet. "You are a goddess among mortals," the prince declared, his eyes scanning her body greedily. "Come to my palace this night. Be my guest, and this village will never see you hold a farm tool again." Nneka's heart leaped. She looked at the money on the floor, then at the envious faces of her peers. She thought her salvation had arrived. That night, defying her mother's tears and desperate warnings, Nneka wore her finest wrapper and walked the lonely path to the prince's temporary lodge at the edge of the forest. But the palace of the wicked is a house of mirrors. When Nneka entered the chambers, she did not find a respectful suitor. She found a beast disguised in royal silk. Prince Azubuike and his friends ridiculed her village, treated her like a common commodity, and after stripping her of her dignity, the prince threw a single, insignificant coin at her face. "Did you think a poor village girl could ever be a queen?" The prince laughed mockingly, his friends joining in the cruel chorus. "Your beauty is only good for one night of amusement. Now take your wretched self out of my sight before I set my dogs upon you." Nneka crawled out of the lodge, her clothes torn, her body bruised, and her pride shattered into 1,000 pieces. She did not cry. The tears refused to come. Instead, the warmth in her chest died. A cold, solid block of pure ice took its place. As she walked through the dark, whispering forest back to her village, the wind seemed to howl around her, mocking her foolishness. She stopped at the crossroads, the sacred junction where the world of the living touches the realm of the unseen. She fell to her knees, her hands digging into the cold earth, her eyes flashing with a terrifying frenzy. "I am done," she screamed into the night. "I am done with the heavens. I am done with righteousness. Whoever rules the dark, whoever can give me power to crush those who stepped on me, appear now. I am ready to pay any price. I want wealth that commands kings. I want a heart that feels no pain." The wind stopped instantly. The night became dead silent. The crickets ceased their chirping. From the thickest shadow of the forest, a man stepped out. He did not look like a monster. He did not have horns. He was dressed in a pristine, pure white agbada that glowed with an unnatural light. His skin was smooth, but his eyes were completely hollow, 2 bottomless pits of absolute darkness. When he spoke, his voice sounded like the smooth rustle of dry leaves, echoing directly inside Naneka's mind. A bold cry from a beautiful vessel, the stranger whispered, a chilling smile playing on his lips. I am the king of the night, the provider of hidden treasures. I can give you the wealth of 7 generations. I can make the very prince who disgraced you crawl on his belly and lick the dust off your sandals. But my gifts are not free, Naneka. Naneka did not flinch. The humiliation from the prince had completely burned away her capacity for fear. Tell me the price, she said, her voice steady and cold. Take my womb. Take 10 years from my life. Take whatever you want. The stranger laughed, a sound that made the trees tremble. I have no use for your womb, and your years are too short. What I want is much more precious. I want your heart, Naneka frowned. If you take my heart, I will die. No, the devil replied, stepping closer, his breath smelling of sulfur and expensive perfume. You will live. Your pulse will beat, your blood will flow. But you will no longer feel love. You will no longer feel pity, guilt, remorse, or joy. You will be incapable of loving your mother, your siblings, or any man. Your heart will belong to me, locked in my golden casket, and in its place, I will give you a stone of pure gold and unlimited wealth. Do we have a covenant? Naneka stood up. She thought of her leaking roof. She thought of the prince's mocking laughter. She thought of the girls who sneered at her poverty. She looked at the devil and extended her right hand. Take it, she whispered. I have no use for a heart that only knows how to break. The stranger smiled. He reached into his white robe and pulled out a silver dagger. He did not stab her. Instead, he placed his cold palm over Naneka's chest. Naneka gasped as a blinding, agonizing pain ripped through her soul. She felt a spiritual hand reach inside her chest and tear out a warm, glowing red light, her beating human heart. The devil placed the glowing light into a small black iron box and snapped it shut. In that exact moment, Naneka felt a strange, heavy numbness spread through her body. The lingering pain from her abuse vanished. The love she felt for her mother dried up like water on hot sand. She looked at the world, and everything appeared in shades of gray. She was alive, but she was empty. The devil handed her a heavy, ornate golden key. Go to the big town of Enugu, he instructed. In the center of the town sits a mansion that has been vacant for 10 years. Use this key to open the gate. Everything inside belongs to you. Every time you require more wealth, simply sacrifice a creature that possesses the love you no longer have. Before Nika could speak, the man vanished into thin air, leaving behind the heavy scent of burning flesh and the golden key in her hand. The next morning, Achara village woke up to a strange sight. Nanika did not return to her mother's house. She did not pack her things. A luxurious, black horse-drawn carriage, an absolute novelty in those times, pulled up to the village square. Naneka stepped out, dressed in silks that the village queen could never afford. Her face was perfectly beautiful, but her eyes were completely blank, devoid of any human expression. Maobiajeli ran to her, crying and thanking God, thinking her daughter had found fortune. Neka! My daughter! Where did you get this? Where have you been? My heart was failing me. Naneka looked at her mother. She recognized the woman. She knew this was the woman who gave birth to her. But she felt absolutely nothing. No warmth, no affection, no desire to comfort her. Take this, Nika said, her voice flat and robotic, as she tossed a small bag of heavy gold coins into the dirt before her mother. Fix the roof. Feed the children. Do not look for me again. The Neka you knew died in the forest last night. Before Maobiajeli could grasp her daughter's clothing, Nika stepped back into the carriage. The driver struck the horses, and they sped away, leaving the entire village of Achara in a state of absolute shock and confusion. Maobiajeli held the gold coins, but her spiritual eyes saw the truth. She fell to the ground, weeping bitterly, because she knew that the gold in her hands was the price of her daughter's soul. Within 3 years, the name Madame Naneka became a terror and a legend in the great town of Enugu. She became the wealthiest commodity trader in the entire region. She owned lands, warehouses, and mansions. Kings courted her favor. British merchants bowed when she entered the room. Her beauty had become sharper, more predatory, and completely hypnotic. But her mansion was a place of dark mysteries. No servants were allowed inside after sunset. No one ever saw Madame Neka laugh, cry, or show anger. She ruled her business empire with a ruthlessness that shocked even the most hardened men. If a competitor crossed her, she ruined them financially without a single blink of an eye. She felt no pity for the beggars at her gate, often ordering her guards to whip them away. But the devil is a restless landlord. The golden stone inside her chest began to demand more. The wealth began to dwindle slightly, and Nanika remembered the devil's condition. Sacrifice a creature that possesses the love you no longer have. One evening, Nanika sat in her grand parlor when her younger brother Chidi, now a young man of 18, arrived at her mansion. He had tracked her down from the village, sent by their mother, who was gravely ill. When Chidi was brought before her, he ran and fell at her feet, tears streaming down his face. "Sister, please, you must come home. Mother is dying, and all she does is call your name. She says she wants to see your face one last time before she joins the ancestors. Please, Nanika, have mercy." Nanika looked down at her biological brother. She watched his tears. She saw the pure, innocent brotherly love radiating from his heart. To her, it was like looking at a strange text written in a foreign language. She felt zero sympathy. She felt zero sorrow for her dying mother. But then, a dark, sinister thought entered her mind. The golden stone in her chest throbbed heavily. A creature that possesses pure love. "You are welcome, my brother," Nika said, her voice smooth and deceptive. "You must be tired from your long journey. Drink this wine, rest your head, and tomorrow, we shall go together to see our mother." Chidi, smiling through his tears, believing his sister's heart had finally melted, drank the cup of heavily drugged wine she offered. Within minutes, he slumped onto the expensive rug, fast asleep. Nanika stood up, her eyes cold and hollow. She walked over to the corner of the room and pulled out a ceremonial silver bowl. She looked at her sleeping brother, the boy she used to carry on her back when they were children. She felt absolutely nothing. She raised a sharp blade above his chest. What happens when a soul completely forgets the language of love? What happens when the wealth you traded your heart for demands the very blood that flows in your veins? Nanika has raised the knife against her own flesh and blood, but the devil is never satisfied with just one sacrifice. The web of darkness is spinning faster, and the true nightmare is about to begin. This is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2, where the ultimate price of the covenant will be demanded, and Nanika will realize that the devil does not keep secrets forever.